Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly right here at the Takedown on SI on YouTube. I'm Zach Haydorn. That is Blake Level. Blake, dude, what's going on? It's a slow week, kind of, right?
Anytime we say that, we're doing this on a Thursday, like there's just news is going to pick up as soon as we finish this show. Yeah, but we were kind of talking about that. Like, it's just not a lot necessarily. It feels like kind of that lull before, you get into okay, here comes Elimination Chamber. Here comes Revolution. Like, here comes WrestleMania. Like, it's kind of that feel right now. So, yeah, I feel like we're kind of in one of those spots. But again, we know what'll happen. There'll be something significant newsworthy that'll drop in the next couple of days, just because we said that.
Yeah, as we speak, Vince McMahon is joining TKO Group again. And right. We'll have to cover.
Exactly.
We'll do a special Pro Wrestling Weekly for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is that time of year. I mean, it's definitely that time of year, and it's about to get busy. It's about to get real busy with, as you said, with WrestleMania. We got Elimination Chamber next week. We'll preview that show here on the Takedown on SI in multiple ways. We'll do a full-on preview show like we normally do, like we normally drop near the end of the week next week, and then Blake and I also give it a review and preview next week on the show here. But let's start once again, second week in a row. Let's start with AEW and how Dynamite ended last night. Curious as to your take on what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong or disagree. I think that's a Swerve Strickland heel turn last night, right? I mean, like it didn't seem like that, that open-ended to me. Like I felt like, yep, no, this is them wanting to get Swerve booed.
Yeah, and I feel like we're kind of in that era where, even if no one just comes out and says it, it's sort of like we're just letting these guys lean into like their true persona. And some people, he can always say, well, that may make me a heel, but I just am who I am, right? And me doing this, you people have cheered this before, right? But it happens to be that it's Kenny Omega, so now you're going to boo me. And, that's where you can kind of play with the heel stuff a little more. And I like the idea because here's why. Like, anytime I feel like in this era, sometimes you have a guy who's like a main event guy and he's a heel or whatever. And I think like not just AEW, but I think WWE's done a decent enough job with this at times in this period where it's like, just because you have two guys that are heels doesn't mean that they have to team everywhere, be on the same page about everything and all that. So when I think about the dynamic now, if you're counting Swerve into that picture, and I think about like the dynamic between him and MJF at some point, right? Like, these aren't two guys who are just going to be buddy-buddy because they're both quote-unquote heels, right? They're just, they're two guys who have the same common goal and will do whatever they have to do to get there. And for Swerve, that meant, kind of embracing his roots, I guess you could say, and going back to, what got him there in the first place. And so I thought it was really well done, to be honest, because, when you think about, we talked about how they've kind of rotated this main event picture over the last little bit, and we just kept saying, man, I mean, if you're picking like the three guys in AEW over the past, year and a half or so that feel like they have become like your main dudes, it's been Hangman, Ospreay, and Swerve. And the commonality between all of them is that they were all guys that were getting cheered. And, now I think by introducing Swerve kind of to someone that has even a tougher edge than even a Hangman's had, which I know we'll probably talk about that with what he said to MJF and, all those things. So I think it's a really kind of fascinating swerve, pun intended, that can really take things, I think, in the right direction here.
I really like this too. I thought it was a good move. First of all, I thought it was really well done. Like I liked the heel turns where it's not just a turn that's shocking to be shocking. Like I think about other AEW heel turns that I didn't like was when FTR turned on Adam Copeland that time. It was just like, wait, what? Like you just wrestled the whole match alongside of him, and then okay, like I don't know, okay, you're a heel now, yes, but it's also a little bit out of the blue and was shocking to be shocking. This to me had more nuance to it. Like I liked the element of him kind of pulling Aubrey Edwards in front of him to block the V trigger. You know, they can go back to that if they want to, as like, all right, what did he pull her or did she just lean in? Like you can tell a story with that. And I think, you know, Swerve as a heel can have some plausible deniability there. So it starts that way. And then by the end, he's just a full on, you know, bad dude who's just destroying Kenny Omega after he beats him in the ring in the match. So I like the nuance. I like the shock value, but not the surprise value of it. I don't think you have to surprise the audience with everything. Some things can just be. And I thought that this was like just a natural, you know, a natural step, a natural chapter. And I like that better than like the herky jerky. Oh my God. You know?
Yeah, it'd been different. Like if this wasn't, again, already kind of teased and hinted at with all of the actions that he's had over the past little bit. Like you said, it'd be different if him and Omega were having the MJF Adam Cole skits for
right.
2 months.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden on this show, it's just like, oh, we're just going to have a match. And then Swerve just completely destroys the guy. Like that would be just completely, there's no reason for it. But they have made it as clear as you can make it that Swerve's entire thing is that he wants the championship, even to the extent that he was willing to put aside his differences with Hangman to somehow get him closer to that, right? Not trying to help Hangman get closer to that. Like this was all, again, if you look at it, a very cerebral approach of, I need to put my differences aside with this guy because us together maybe presents more of a path forward for me than just trying to do this against Hangman and then also do it against MJF. Let's figure out how we can, navigate that. So it's all been there. Again, the title is the goal, and that's why I've always said, like, everyone in this range of competitors, when you're a main eventer, your goal should be to be the champion. Like, that is as big of a layup as it gets, right? So you destroying another guy who maybe is not willing to do whatever it takes to be the champion, that shows that, again, Swerve maybe has a little bit of that extra something in him that Kenny Omega is now going to have to find if he wants to find his way to MJF at some point. So, yeah, I thought this was, again, very well done. And like you mentioned, I just, it's not like it came out of nowhere. I think this was a natural progression of the story, and it makes the story a lot more interesting now. Because, again, this is what made Swerve what he is in the first place, is this kind of dynamic, and now it seems like he's kind of embracing that again.
And there's a lot of angles that you can go down with this too. I mean, obviously the big one is going to be Swerve and Kenny Omega, but what's Adam Page going to have to say about it? He just kind of reconciled with Kenny Omega. That is you have that seed that you can watch grow. Swerve and MJF, as you said, at some point, down the line. Will Ospreay is a guy who, when he comes back, is going to be like the ultimate babyface, and now Swerve is there that can work with him. I just think it's crowded, near the top of AEW on the babyface side of things. You've got Will Ospreay, you've got Adam Page. I would say you're kind of have Jon Moxley. Like those are three top baby faces, and I think the roster needed one of those guys, including Swerve, to go the other direction, because now that opens up if anybody goes heel, Swerve, Ospreay, Page, it opens up opportunities to do fresh matches again, and it happened to be Swerve here. I think that makes sense, and I'm excited for not only the Kenny Omega match, but for Swerve against Page again, and for Swerve against MJF, and for all the fresh matches now that you get that maybe wouldn't have been so fresh with Swerve Strickland as a babyface. Like he just is a bit fresher now.
Yeah, he was the best candidate of the group because you're Ospreay is going to be the biggest baby. He's going to be the biggest star in the company when he comes back. Like it wasn't going to be Hangman, although I know we'll talk about it. Like there is the tease of a different side of him a little bit, but that's just Hangman, right? It's not necessarily, he's going to be someone that's very hard to root against anytime in the near future based on the last year he's had. That's going to be tough. No one wants to boo Kenny Omega. Like, we're not going back to that right now. So this was the easiest choice to make to kind of give you a little bit of separation there. And like I said, I don't think that's going to lead to Swerve and MJF hanging out every week or anything like that. And that's what you want, though. You want still these guys to kind of have that same thing in common. But yeah, like their main event scene you've got a year's worth of stuff here at the least.
Yeah, right,
at least you've got a year's worth of stuff. When you add Moxley in there and all this other stuff, and of course you can't turn him heel, he just turned. So this was the no-brainer choice. And when you consider, again, all these guys in the mix, and eventually, I think you're going to elevate Kyle Fletcher into that group. You've still got guys like Takeshita who can be thrown in there, and so forth. They have no shortage of the things that their fan base wants the most, which is great rivalries, great matches. They've got no shortage of pay-per-view main events for probably the next year and a half, which is a great place to be if you're AEW.
Tony Khan loves that. I mean, he does, and they still are in the pay-per-view business, and so they need that. They need to have those matches.
Yep.
Let's pause real quick and set the table here for the show. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on the Takedown SI on YouTube. We are here live. This is our live flagship show on the YouTube channel every single Thursday afternoon, 12 Eastern. We talk with you about the week in pro wrestling. AEW, WWE, TNA, and everything and anything in between. So thank you for being here. Thanks for pressing play. If for some reason you're not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe and get all the stuff that we put out here on a weekly basis. We got all sorts of interviews with the top wrestling stars across all the major companies, AEW, WWE, TNA, and so much more. I had an interview with Logan Paul that just dropped, which was pretty interesting. Joe Hendry will be dropping pretty soon. We have something with Liv Morgan up there and Tommaso Ciampa. Just really cool stuff. Really good interviews and fresh info from these guys that you can't get anywhere else. So hit subscribe. And if you're watching this live and you can like the video, that certainly would help us out. I do appreciate it. I do have live chat open. It is open and waiting for you guys. If you want to shoot the breeze or make a comment or rant about something, go ahead. If you can give us a super chat and you want to make sure that your comment gets read live on the air, super chats are enabled as well. And so we appreciate that. Little tip in the tip jar helps us out greatly. We got the chat rolling so far. Sean, what's going on, Sean? Sean says here, the main event and Swerve's heel turn, I thought saved the show. Very well done. Swerve needed a heel turn for a while, and there are many faces. Yeah, that's my 2 cents exactly. Zach is in the chat as well. Says, excellent match, and Swerve's heel turn is in line with how he's always handled himself, going too far when he thinks he needs to prove something. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Mm-hmm. That analysis of kind of what his psychology is for why he did what he did. And it is in line with his character. So, and that's why I like this heel turn, better than, just random out of nowhere turns just so people's jaws hit the floor. This makes more sense. Do you think that the Kenny Omega feud, like how long can they get into the year with this for Swerve Strickland? I mean, I think what they did last night writes Kenny Omega off of Revolution. We kind of know that he has a conflict there already. News broke he's got a video game commitment, won't be at the Revolution pay-per-view. So this kind of takes care of that and takes care of why they aren't wrestling on that show. But then Dynasty's coming up and Double or Nothing is coming up. Like how deep into the year can Tony Khan get with this?
I mean, I would have to think like you can probably push this through Double or Nothing if you wanted to, which I know seems like a long time, but like you said, if you're taking Revolution off the table, you're obviously building to a bigger match between the two other than just what you got last night. So you can do that, again, whether that's a Dynasty, whether that's pushing it a little bit further. And a lot of that, too, is going to depend on what is the next step in the championship picture. where,
Right.
we know we're getting MJF and Hangman. And like we said, I think I just would be stunned if, the direction is not Will Ospreay at All In. So like you're thinking about this 6-month time frame here and how much can they get into that with all these guys? Like how is everyone going to get their opportunity, right? And I think that's where you would have to probably expect Omega to get a shot at some point before then. Just knowing that you're going to probably eventually get to Ospreay. And it's also a matter of, well, what do you do with Swerve? Like, are you going to have, I think it's difficult. And you always write about this, Zach. It's like doing a Swerve versus MJF right now feels a little more challenging because you're then, even like I said, they don't have to just be guys that are buddy all the time, but you're also making the audience choose, and you're having to lessen the impact of both of them if you do that match right now. So do you maybe hold off Swerve until maybe, again, Ospreay wins the title, and then you've got Swerve Ospreay as your big kind of building point to there. And so that's why we mentioned, like, they've got, I mean, you could book this thing out through next year's Revolution right now and be like, I got plenty to work with because, you've got those guys specifically. And again, that's not even counting, do you eventually throw Moxley back into the mix? How do you get Kyle Fletcher in there? And so forth. So, yeah, I mean, I think that probably my best guess is somehow Omega comes back, wins the, I guess, feud, if you want to call it, with Swerve, earns the match against MJF, but somehow Swerve is still able to get the kind of momentum needed to eventually maybe be that guy that's sitting there waiting for Ospreay should he return and win the title. So there's a lot of directions you can go with it.
Yeah, there is. And I think that's what makes it fun. I think, look, this is to me a byproduct of AEW taking the time to like focus its top stars on the championship. When you've got everybody looking at the championship, everything that happens around that is to me is more interesting because it's like, how does this Swerve Kenny Omega feud impact their journeys to the world title? What happens with MJF and Adam Page now in the world title picture, knowing that Swerve and Kenny Omega are waiting in the wings, and then that Ospreay is waiting in the wings after that. So it's important to have your guys and women in the women's division pointed at the biggest championship. It makes it easier to tell interesting stories and have those stories matter a lot in terms of like just like the whole narrative of the show. And I mean, we've been talking about that on this show here for months now, that they've made a concerted effort to point MJF at the title, Samoa Joe at the title, Kenny Omega is going for the title, Adam Page, Swerve, like this is week in and week out that you see these guys on this journey on episodic television to try to win the world championship, and now you're reaping the benefit of putting that picture together, and I think that's really important.
Well, Sean's comment at the bottom here, it says you have your main 6 guys, but I don't think there's much more than that. And I would argue, Sean, I don't think you need much more than that. I think 6 is a great number in terms of like if you're talking, let's say if you are trying to be a long-term booker, right? You're trying to book out 6 months in advance, a year in advance in terms of your big matches, which we know, like Tony Khan, yes, people can say, well, maybe sometimes they book week to week based on who comes in and all that and who you've got available. But at the same time, that they do like to look way far ahead and be thinking about what are these big matches. And to me, 6 is a great number because you're talking about 12 months. You've got 6 guys that feel like they're kind of your main event picture. And there's plenty to do when it comes to like mixing and matching that number of guys. Because I mean, again, I don't want to always compare everything to the Attitude Era, right? But think about it. You had who? Austin, Rock, Triple H, Undertaker, Mankind, and there's somebody else I'm forgetting. But it's like, that's kind of like your core group. And I feel like that's sort of the thing where if you build them up well enough, which I think AEW's done a home run job of that, of building up all these guys to that level, then it puts you in a position where there's plenty to work with just a number like that. You don't need 10 to 15 guys that are rotating in and out of that picture. If you want to make someone, sure, but like they've got 6 ready-made guys right now. And like I mentioned, even the guys that are on the way up, like a Kyle Fletcher, you throw him into the mix. Again, I think you've just got plenty to work with there, and that's where, like, if we wanted to segue, Zach, the thing is, I think the bigger question now is, talk about the stipulation of Hangman, adding in the idea that if he loses, he can't challenge for the title. So I think what's interesting to me is, like, now I put it in the perspective of, if we're still going with the idea that Will Ospreay is the guy in 6 months or whatever, who does he need to beat? Like, what is the most impactful win for Will Ospreay of this group of people we're talking about here? Because if Hangman loses, he's not in that equation. And, then it's like, okay, is it MJF? Is it Omega? Is it Swerve? Like, I think that's where this kind of becomes fascinating now that they've added this stipulation in.
No, it's so true. I'm glad you took us there because, we had, last night, if you didn't see the show and you're listening to us here, MJF and Adam Page, kind of had their face off in the ring, not physically, but promo battle. And they netted out that, like, Page thinks they need a stipulation for the match. Page is willing to put all future world championship opportunities on the line in order to get the stipulation match with MJF. Now, I want to talk in a little bit about how they actually set this up on the show, because I thought it was real confusing. But to your point, when you look down the road and you're like, okay, it's going to be Will Ospreay at All In. I mean, right now, to me, it's really two names, and that's MJF and now Swerve Strickland. And yesterday, or less than 24 hours ago, I would have said it's one name, and that one name is MJF. So it's a really, I think it's normally with these stipulations about I'm not going to challenge for the world title anymore. Like, I think it's I think it does more to hurt the drama of the match, because that's such a massive stipulation that changes, like, the booking for forever, that I think it's kind of easy to poke holes in and easy to see through it at times. But I actually think that it's an interesting one this time, because, if Adam Page wins and he beats MJF, okay, then what? Like, what are you setting up at that point? You don't have, I don't think, the best match for All In set up if you do that. Now, if Adam Page wins and then, heel Swerve Strickland takes it off Page, and then you get to Ospreay against Strickland. Okay, I think that makes a little bit more sense. But it is interesting, and I don't know. I got Sean. You're in the chat. You're saying that MJF is going to lose, or Hangman's going to lose, and I don't know. I mean,
I don't either.
Never again. Hangman's going to challenge for the world title. I think there's a decent chance that Adam Page wins this match, especially with that Swerve Strickland heel turn. That may be the tell in all this.
That's the thing. And so if I'm thinking of it that way, I mean, there's a part of me that really does think that if we're looking to build to the biggest match, I still think in the best case scenario, it's Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay.
Now, are you talking maybe, like, are you factoring in, like, any kind of character, or just, like, what's the biggest match?
Exactly. I think it would be, like, if we're talking the biggest match and the match I could see them wanting the most, I think that is the one that probably feels like the biggest match. But if you're talking about that from that scenario, to me, that's where you just mentioned the domino effect, right? That means that MJF has to beat Hangman, and then Hangman can't challenge for the title. Then Omega beats Swerve to get to MJF, and he beats him. So you see, like, it's the domino effect of how do we get there if that's the case. So I've sort of been operating under the idea that MJF will somehow survive this entire group that he has had thrown at him until he gets to Ospreay. But now that we're throwing in these kind of stipulations, I'm like, well, I don't know anymore. Like, can MJF really run the gamut here and get all the way to that point? So I'll give them credit. Like, there is some unpredictability here of what they do, and that's why, again, I applaud them for building up all these guys the way they have, because there are so many different combinations you could see working. But I think it is an interesting exercise to try to rank what would be the order that we are just assuming. Again, maybe we're just wrong about this, but I'm like, I can't think of an easier layup than having Will Ospreay at All In winning the title. Like, it seems like a foregone conclusion, but that's okay sometimes. But like, what is what's the ranking of what it should look like? Is it Ospreay MJF 1, Ospreay Omega 2, Ospreay versus either a Page, or I can't envision Page being in that spot. That's not knocking him, but I just think it would probably likely be the one of the other three versus him, and especially will be the case if he loses at Revolution. But I don't know. Like, I think it's complicated. So
it's complicated. It's fun because I think some of this is earned. Like,
yeah,
it's not confusing because it's just confusing. Like, right. I think it's calculated. It's calculated to make AEW fans have conversations like we're having right now. I think that's the goal. So Hangman. Okay, let's get back to this Hangman and MJF segment from last night. So, can you make heads or tails on what is actually happening now? Like, I don't think they did a very good job of articulating whether or not MJF right now is supposed to be considering whether or not it's a Texas death match or not, or whether he's supposed to decide the stipulation. To me, like, they totally butchered that part of the promo. I think we're getting a stipulation. I think Adam Page's, future title shots are going to be on the line, but this mixture of MJF is going to choose, but Hangman already kind of decided something. I thought that was really messy and kind of hurt the crescendo of the whole angle.
So when this was the way they were teasing it, I'm like, they've got to go to the Texas Death Match. Like, that has to be mentioned here, because if you're thinking about it from Hangman's perspective, that's the match you want, because you feel invincible almost now, in that type of setting, based on your huge triumph and all this other stuff over Moxley and everything. So now, what would be the reason that MJF accepts that stipulation? I can't see someone like MJF necessarily accepting a Texas death match unless there is something else added to the equation, which would make it maybe a little bit more messy. Right? Because if you're MJF, what is your reasoning for accepting a Texas death match, knowing the guy you're going to face who could take your title has just had, again, a moment of the year type scenario in that match? Like, I don't see any upside for MJF in accepting a Texas death match. So,
well, couldn't you reasonably, or to me, the answer to that was at the time that Hangman put all future title shots on the line. So if he does that, then you're going to but that was not clear. That was
that's the thing. Yeah. So that may be where I'm wrong here, and maybe that's the way they're going to push it. But I don't know. I don't know that it helps MJF in that scenario, if I really think about it, because it's almost but I mean, it is MJF. I'm going to talk myself out of it, where it's he can be a coward. And so it's thinking, MJF shouldn't care if he ever had to face Hangman again, because he has the confidence that he can beat him. But then again, it's MJF, and he wants to find every potential way around having more challengers, right? Because he's feeling the pressure, and he's seeing all these guys coming for his title. I don't know. I think how they clean this up will be important, but for now, I agree. It's a little bit up in the air.
For context, they are promoting for next week's episode of Dynamite. So this is on their Twitter account right now. They're promoting some kind of segment between MJF and Hangman Page, and the verbiage, the exact verbiage in the hype is MJF and Hangman Page decide their stipulation for Revolution.
Okay. So
kind of to me, it's well, didn't we already do that? We know that he's going to put his thing on the line, and it's going to be a Texas death match, I think. So I don't know. I bring it up because it's just, it's part of what I think hurts AEW as a show. For as good as I think it's been the last couple of weeks, it's stuff like this where it's dude, this is your biggest angle. This is your biggest match. This is your big pay-per-view main event for the men's world championship. Like, you gotta be more clear on that. Like, you have to be able to land the plane better for the biggest spot on your, one of your biggest shows of the year. I don't know. I just think you got to look at it, and maybe Paige and MJF jacked up the promo, and Tony Khan was furious backstage. All I'm saying is you got to get this stuff right, and I thought they butchered it. I just thought they absolutely butchered it, and I like the match. I like the idea of a stipulation. I'm even on board for Hangman's wild part of it, but man, I just think you got to land the plane better. You got to be better in that. At that.
Well, we'll see what they do next week. I don't have a great read on what I think they're going to do because they left it kind of up in the air, but you gotta hammer home something here next week. So.
Yeah. Okay, so then also we got more Revolution developments on last night. So we now know that FTR and the Young Bucks are going to continue their saga of tag team war, and they're going to wrestle again for the AEW World Tag Team titles. And we know that Jon Moxley is going to face Takeshita in a no time limit match. So they're going to get a winner out of this after going the distance at AEW Grand Slam Australia over the weekend. Good matches, Blake, or meh?
I mean, good matches quality-wise. There's no question. They'll both be good. One of these I'm more enthused by than the other, and I'll maybe let you guess which one that is. I've got no issue with the Moxley Takeshita thing again, because I think, again, the way they set it up, it makes sense. Add something like that to the mix. You're guaranteeing a winner.
I love that match too at Grand Slam. By the way,
it was great.
Heck of a match.
Who wouldn't want to see it again? And look, FTR and the Young Bucks have had some great matches before, but I just think character-wise, I don't know that there is a point where I have been more down on these two. Teams than I am right now. And again, I'm not putting the entire blame on them, not putting the entire blame on the booking. I just think at a certain point, these two teams just feel so far, somewhat removed from what we saw as the height of where they were at a certain point in AEW. And even though, yes, this is for the titles, I just think, and this is where the tag team division overall, I feel has, everyone kind of talks the golden years of the tag team division and all that, and they have a lot of good teams, but I just think the overall picture right now, and getting back to this match, I mean, that's the thing, right? If you compared it, and I think it is fair to compare, because this is what you do, where direction have you headed in? We've talked about it feels like the singles division, especially the main event scene, has really been revamped in a tremendous way. But I think at the same time, the state of this match and how it feels versus however many, the last time they did this, it'll be a good match, but I just don't really have a lot of interest in either team and where they're headed right now. So
I'm with you on that. I mean, I don't know that the Young Bucks have ever had less value to AEW than they have right now. I don't know, man. It's if they're on the show, it's fine, and if they're not, I don't even think you really remember that they're not. It's just I just don't think they're having a very impactful run at this time. The women's tag team division in AEW, I think, is far better than the men's tag team division right now in AEW. I think
I'd say the same about WWE.
And same thing with WWE. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. But you can tell there's effort there. Babes of Wrath, that's a thing. They're trying to make that matter and be a thing. And God, I just sometimes I almost forget that FTR even has the tag titles. That's how
exactly. They are. Yeah. I mean, and I don't think we can underestimate how much damage the heel Young Bucks and just that act that I think just became so tired at the end. I just was I think that just did so much damage. And not to say that maybe it wasn't needed, because we were probably saying the same thing about, okay, they've got to do something different at the time, but it just feels like it has not gone the direction, and now it's just like, well, let's just get back to the way it used to be. That's what this
Right.
feels like. Like if you
Yeah.
want to put a stipulation on this match and you want to put it on the marquee, a back to the way it used to be match. Like, and it just, but it doesn't have that feel, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
have that right now. Now, could they of course capture us with how good the match is? Of course. Like it'll get probably 4.5 to 5 stars. I'm sure it will. But at a certain point, those are just numbers. And I need something more out of these two teams from just a week to week character type, direction, a story that you can sort of sink your teeth into. And I'm not sensing that right now with this.
I just feel like the Young Bucks are just like kind of always messing around. Like that's
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
tone that I get. I'm like, can you guys just not mess around and like take this seriously for one
Like,
second and draw some money?
listen, Zach, when they were doing the whole broke bucks or whatever, and they're coming out to the whatever the entrances, and they don't have music, and they're having the whole Windows
Yeah,
98 Titantron. Hey, I get that's going to pop some people and laugh emojis and all this other stuff, but it's not doing anything
right.
for actual business development, right? It's just that stuff it'll pop a certain segment, but some people are just going to sit there and roll their eyes and be like,
Most people
I
are going
mean,
to be like,
yeah,
why are they playing Umbop right now? Like, I don't get it.
exactly. Like it's just those are the inside things that I know were great on BTE and all this other, but like they at a certain point that runs its course. And we hit that, I think, several years ago. And yet you're still trying to I think feed off of that same kind of energy or that same kind of trope, and it doesn't work anymore the way it used to be.
And I don't know. I'm a little bit like, and I think I'm in the minority on this, but I'm kind of over the Young Bucks style match too. It's just like there was a time, when that was supremely innovative. That style
Mm-hmm.
of tag team match, the unique spots, the flipping stuff, the tandem offense, and all that. And now, it's cool and it's fine, but it happens all over the show on AEW. Like it's not like a special thing. Jet Speed has a similar style. Like it's just, it's just kind of there. So I think that like all the things that they leaned on to be like this cutting edge kind of tag team just don't really have anymore. And that happens though. Sometimes things run its course and you got to reinvent. I don't think they've been able to do that. I just don't think they've been able to do that. And no, Zach, I don't want the Young Bucks to retire. I didn't say that. I just said I want them to just matter a little bit more than they do.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
meant.
mean, even this FTR run,
Yeah,
it's been fine. But again, if you're ranking, like if you pick the years of FTR and like rank their years in AEW, 2025 is still going to come pretty low on
oh yeah,
that ranking, right? Compared to previous years. And so it feels like you're getting two teams that are on the downturn. Even if they go out and have a 5-star match, that's great for the people that are, saying it's 5 stars. But unless they do something different and set themselves apart again, I'm not seeing it right now.
we got a super chat from Sean about the Fatal 4-Way TBS Championship match. Sean, thank you, man. We appreciate it. Glad you're here, and appreciate the super chat. Sean says that 4-way TBS title match came out of nowhere. LOL. Yeah, it was, Blake, a mixture of kind of some random mid card names. No question about it. Like this is one of the random title matches. I thought it was a pretty good match, though. I did like the match. What about you?
Yeah, no, it was. I enjoy all of these four, and I think that's where like it's really just dependent on your, I guess, enjoyment. We mentioned Marina Shafir. Like I just think she has been so great, and we were both predicting that she would have her hair shaved off. That didn't happen. Unfortunately, It went to poor Wheeler Yuta and all that.
All right, was
Long
am I
time.
crazy or did they not? They didn't show him last night, right?
I don't think so. No, and that's probably intentional.
Yeah.
that's gonna be fun when they do that. But yeah, I mean, I think just that four together again, Marina and the value she's brought. I mean, Megan Bain certainly has upped her stock, as much as anybody, I think, during this run in AEW. Willow's Willow and Mina Shirakawa, like, playing off of them. Like, yeah, I'm okay with stuff like that sometimes. It's just like, hey,
Mhm.
put them in there, see what you get. You got four pretty dynamic personalities and kind of characters, I guess, if you want to call them that, like, playing off of each other. And yeah, like, I'm good with that. Like, I think sometimes that's what you need. And, it just keeps kind of establishing that Willow is someone that, again, we talk about people who have just become absolute kind of stars in their own division, like she has. And I just think, yeah, it was kind of fun to see these four kind of play off each other, knowing that really, you would think that Bane and Shafir are two people that eventually, in the right dynamic, can be the people that can eventually maybe take this title, or take the bigger title and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I like how they set the table for the match too, where it's like you had Willow, and all it took was like a little 15-second promo, pre-tape promo, where she's kind of just like, "Hey, I've been focused on the tag team titles, and now I got to put my TBS title on the line. I'm a fighting champion." Like, I feel like it's good when you connect the dots like that for fans.
Yep.
I think it just pulls the show together, which I like. It makes it less random. It makes the title match less random when you do that. And anything else you want to hit about Dynamite last night?
No, I mean, I think that AEW's in a pretty good spot right now. Like, I think, and a lot of that has to do with their main event scene. So
Yeah.
if you can get that right, you're usually sitting in a pretty good situation, I think.
Sean says, you guys make me feel so negative, but I want to be honest. 4 ways aren't just for. Well, we don't want you to chime in and not be honest. That doesn't do anything for anybody. No, I look. You guys know me. If you listen to this show long enough or read my stuff long enough, I'm not a big multi-person match either. No. What I want more than anything is, like, connect the dots, make it make sense. Don't just have a fatal 4-way match for the TBS title. Why are we having it? Whose idea was it? Why do these talent make sense? And I think that's the hoop I think they jumped through last night. And I think more often now in AEW, they're jumping through those hoops for me. And I think that makes the show a hell of a lot better.
Yeah. Again, if it was my choice, Zach, I would watch something from the 70s, the late 70s, or even the 80s, one-on-one matches on loop for hours, more so than I'd ever watch any multi-person match, just ever. But I'm like, they gave it to us. It was enjoyable, I thought, and I enjoyed the participants. So it is what it is. So
absolutely. All right, let's pivot to WWE for a second here. Elimination Chamber is coming into focus, Blake. It's a week from Saturday. So as I said, next week we will have all sorts of preview stuff here at the Takedown on SI, both written and here on the YouTube channel, of a full preview show, match by match, like we do for every major event. And obviously, Blake and I are going to talk about it quite a bit on next week's episode of Pro Wrestling Weekly, so don't miss out on that. But we've got 4 matches right now. It's a pretty big card from just like what matches you're getting on this show, I think, for like a B-level Elimination Chamber show. CM Punk is going to defend the World Championship against Finn Balor. Becky Lynch is going to defend her Intercontinental Championship against AJ Lee. And then we have the 2 Elimination Chamber matches. So in both the men's and women's match, 4 of the participants are known at this time. For the women, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Tiffany Stratton, and Asuka. And on the men's side, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, and Javon Evans, who punched his ticket to the match this week on Raw. What do you make of those 2 Elimination Chamber matches right now? Do you think that the winners of those matches are currently announced for this match or not?
Oh, it's a good question. So the Bianca Belair thing has thrown everyone for a loop here.
Yeah. That's yeah, it has. I mean, it really has. Yeah.
I just got all right. I'm not going to be the conspiracy theorist, Zach, but
You're saying that you're
is it possible that they are this is an unreal season 4 whatever season swerve that they are about to throw at us with Bianca Belair? I'm just going to throw it out there.
It's definitely not impossible. 100% not impossible.
So aside from that, like again, knowing who's already announced, and clearly, like you would think that Charlotte's going to qualify on SmackDown because she's in there with Nia Jax and Kiana James. I think Charlotte will be added to because you want to put Alexa and Charlotte both in there.
Right.
So who am I forgetting that's not in the women's match? You've got Rhea, Asuka, Tiffany Stratton. Who's the other? Who's going to be the other one?
I mean, at first, I
Io.
thought maybe Jordan Grace would be, but
it's probably Io, right?
But I was going to say, but that would make it uneven Raw to SmackDown. So if you stipulate that that Charlotte's in, that's Charlotte, Tiffany, and Alexa from SmackDown, Rhea, Asuka, and I think you have a Raw slot open. And Io makes a hell of a lot of sense.
It's Io versus Kyrie versus Raquel.
Yeah, Raquel I think makes sense too.
Yeah.
In a way.
I feel like they'll want Io in there.
Yeah, but I think Io's just more exciting from a match perspective.
See, that's interesting because, again, if you are taking Bianca out of the picture, which we are certainly for right now, I mean, if I'm looking at that and I'm deciding who needs to face Jade at WrestleMania, because I think Liv and Vicaire they've already gone so far with that. That's as obvious as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty simple at that point. It's either, do you want to do Rhea versus Jade or do you want to do Charlotte versus Jade? I mean, it's one of the two.
Yeah.
And they've teased both. I feel like Charlotte's the easiest choice because then you can do something to where she faces Jade and then you've got like a ready-made program with Charlotte and Alexa after that. If you want to turn Charlotte back again, which I'm like, oh, that is terrifying to me because I don't know. Again, I feel like this Charlotte Alexa thing, I mean, it's just, this has helped both of them, but like it has gotten to a point to where it's very like on repeat. I think those are the only two choices. I know, and they want to push Tiffany, but I just don't see Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill again as a WrestleMania.
I think you're looking at a multi-person match with that.
It could be.
I mean, that's what I think. I mean, assuming that Bianca was the plan, and clearly I think that was the plan. Like, I mean, Bianca's been gone since last WrestleMania. Like, clearly, I think they thought they would have her back for this, and that match I think it's a really big match, Jade against Bianca. Once you can't do that, though, and you look at the pieces around here, like I think they're going to have some kind of big women's tag team match. I think that would make sense given, what we saw for the majority of 2025 in that division.
Which means I think you would take one of these two out of that, and that's why I'm so curious here. If you take Rhea or Charlotte out of that picture, then what does the other teammate do?
Well, to me, I think what happened I would predict that it stays on SmackDown and you get Jade against Tiffany against Charlotte against Alexa. Fatal, fatal four.
You could do that.
There's your fatal four-way. Or something to that effect. That way you take out one of the tag teams, they've got something they can do, and then you can still do your tag team thing on Raw. I'm not advocating for that idea or putting.
So how do you make that work in the chamber?
Well, there you go. I mean that's you can't really. I mean, someone has to win the chamber, which means 5 people have to lose.
Yeah.
So
man, I don't know. So the women's match, to be honest with you, the women's match is more intriguing to me right now than the men's match because I don't even say there's an issue, but if you're looking at the men's roster here of the ones that have been announced, right? Cody, Orton, LA Knight, and Javon Evans, which I'm thrilled that they put Javon Evans in the mix, and I think they should do the same with Trick. I think Trick should win the one on SmackDown, and you put him in there too,
Yeah.
Because I think there's way more momentum for Trick than Carmelo or Damian Priest right now. So I think Trick needs to win to be in that match. Then who's the other guy on the men's side? Have they already announced is the men's one been announced for Raw for next week?
Yes. Bronson Reed.
That's right.
It's Bronson Reed, Jay Uso, I think.
That's right. It's Jay, and I don't remember who the other one is.
I forget who the third person is too. But yeah, it's a Raw guy.
Okay. Oh, it's original Americano, which is not going to be him. So
it won't be it.
Won't be the original. I mean, you'd have to assume it's going to be. Well, I mean, Jay's a tag team champion, but they're not doing anything with those belts right now.
Yeah.
Bronson Reed to play up the LA Knight angle, but that's either. I mean, it doesn't matter. Neither one of them are winning, so it really doesn't matter who's in. That's the problem maybe with the men's match right now. I'm like, the only thing I think that is going to be very compelling with the men's side of it is, even though like they have done a great job of building up Trick and building up Javon Evans, my other question would be, why is Obafemi not in this thing? They're really which I kind of understand. They're clearly waiting till after WrestleMania to just give this guy the monster push.
Yeah.
Like
they don't want him factoring in stuff right now.
They're dragging out the contract signing just to keep him occupied, and the Kit Wilson stuff is fun for what it is. But I think the only drama you've got here is this thing's going to come down to Cody and Randy Orton, and that's probably the story, is that you're going to get whatever happens between those two, knowing that Cody is going to eventually win this match. And how does that kind of kickstart the eventual Cody versus Orton feud that we've been thinking we're getting for years now? I don't know. That's why I think the women's match is more compelling, but the men's match could be better, if that makes sense.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense, and we'll get a better picture. But again, I don't see how Cody doesn't win. I mean, I think he's got to win. He's going to have a big WrestleMania match.
Yeah.
To me, it's like Zach here. And Zach, also, thank you so much for the super chat. Zach says, why are we even talking about the men's chamber match when we all know Cody's winning? Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Zach. I mean, I think that's more obvious. That's certainly more obvious than the women's match. And thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. All right, I got one more question for you, and then we're going to get into our signature segment of the week. Name that main event. My question for you, Blake: what is in the box?
Oh no. Is
Chris Jericho going to pop out of that box?
There was a time when I would have been just enthralled by this whole dynamic. But right now, we currently have a masked man mystery we're trying to solve. I ain't got time for this box mystery, too.
Too many
You're giving me 2 mysteries on the same show. Are you kidding me? You want me to dissect both of them? Who the hell knows? Like, I don't know what's in this box. Like, they're clearly, again, this would absolutely be like a Jericho type thing, but I assume based on the news we got about the report of the contract and all this other stuff, like, this could be a way to do that tease without having him, I suppose, depending on when that is. But I mean, you're not like, here's the thing, guys, like, there's no person in the box. They can't just stay in the box. They can't just stay in there until Elimination Chamber. They will perish from starvation and all this other stuff. Like, you can't do that. So there's got to be something else other than a human being in there.
Maybe it's like Chris Jericho's like his highlight reel set or something.
Maybe you're going to get little pieces for the next year of just like, here's one corner of the TV, here's the next corner, and just, I don't know. I mean, Atmosphere's not wrong. It could be Danhausen. If there's anybody who can stay in there that long, it could be Danhausen. But
we will keep a sharp eye on this mystery, but I like the call out of it can't actually be a person. I love it.
It can't.
Oh, that's great. All right. We got a couple more minutes here. This will have to be a quicker Name That Main Event than normal, but
I got it for you.
We do it on this show no matter what. Blake, what do you got?
Completely random one here, but these were two of my favorite guys during this era. How about for the World Heavyweight Championship?
Okay.
The champion, Batista, defends against Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, man. So I'm going to say, it's a sad one to talk about because, like, I think they had like a bigger feud plan between these two, and then Eddie passed away. So it's it's tough. But I'm gonna say I think this was No Mercy 2005.
Correct. So this again, Eddie passed away the following year, and the reason I went to this one is because there's been a lot of debate. Like people have been talking about like Mount Rushmores as always on social media the past couple of days, and so there was one tweet I saw about like actual like wrestler Mount Rushmore, and I'm happy that there were so many people that mentioned Eddie on there because I think I absolutely agree. If you want to talk about like a style that has been tried to be replicated by so many people in this era, like I just think if you go back and watch Eddie, and that's where like I'm thinking back to like this point, knowing like this was, about to be the end, and I'm just thinking, my goodness, man, like this guy was just, he was one of a kind, and like he deserves to be in that conversation. And so yes, this was of course the No Mercy 2005, October 9th, 2005 in Houston.
Oh, it still gets me to this day, Eddie passing away. It's like when you think about all the stuff that's happened in the wrestling industry, all those big Saudi Arabia shows and the big returns and like all that would have been there for Eddie at some point, maybe huge checks from Saudi Arabia. Like, I don't know, like, and then just none of it was there. It just, it's pretty, it sucks, but that's a fun match. Go back and check it out, guys. It's a good match. It's a really good match. Good one, Blake. All right, we're going to put a bow on it there, you guys. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're here, same time, same place, next week, Thursday, 12 Eastern, with Pro Wrestling Weekly live right here at the Takedown on SI on YouTube. Make sure you're heading to our website for all your news updates. And subscribe to our channel here if you haven't already, and like this video. It helps us out a great deal when you do that. And we got all sorts of fun content dropping on the channel here in the next few days and into next week ahead of Elimination Chamber. So thank you. Appreciate our super chatters, Sean and Zach. Atmosphere was in the chat as well as some other folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, that over there is Blake and I'm Zach. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.